bridge that's burning.
You need to share these stories.
Find your story when a new book opens and Once Upon a Time returns on a new night. Fridays beginning October 6th, ABC.
Hello once again, watchers of Good TV. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Once Upon a Time Season 7 Part A, essentially. In other words, this is me talking about the first half of Season 7 of Once Upon a Time. I will be going into spoilers in this review. If you are not caught up, know that going into this. So I'll mainly be talking about key plot points of this first half of the season, as well as the mid-season finale, my thoughts on that. And so just know that, and then also probably some thoughts on seasons 1 through 6, just kind of as they come up naturally. Now the main thing to know, if you are not somehow aware, is that season 7 pretty much acts as a reboot of the franchise, with some of the main characters still remaining around, while putting us in a completely different setting and starting off a whole new story. Because season 6 basically acted as the end of Once Upon a Time. We had Emma getting her happy ending, getting all the main characters their happy endings essentially, and leaving us with the darkness defeated and everyone doing happy ending stuff. So now we fast forward about 20 years later. We have Henry grown up. He is now our main character, and he has fallen in love with Cinderella, essentially. And I don't really know how they get away with a lot of this stuff. Either it's in some sort of different dimension or different world or something, because I know we've seen Cinderella at least sometime in the first 6 seasons. And so I don't know how all that works, but you just kind of go with it with this show sometimes. If it's not a recurring character that they're going to bring back a bunch of times, they change the casting a lot in this show. But it does kind of make sense, because it is pretty much a given, I think, based on what I remember. It's been a while since I watched the beginning of this season, but from what I remember, I'm pretty sure this is set somewhat in the alternate timeline, which was created with Somebody's Wish, where Hook is kind of a drunkard, and the Dark Curse was never cast, and things of that sort. So maybe that's why they get away with it. I don't remember exactly. But regardless, this is a soft reboot of the series, and so we get, like I said, we get a lot of our main characters back. Regina, Henry, grown up, Hook to an extent. And then we get a whole new cast of new characters essentially as well. I really enjoyed the new actor that they got for Henry. He doesn't really have the quiet personality, but you can tell that there is something about him which is still kind of spunky. He still has that adventurous charm to him. He's a writer now in Hyperion Heights, I guess, and he is writing these fairy tales basically about his adventures in Storybrooke and the adventures that he and his family ended up going on during the first 6 seasons. And he has gained some fame from that, and then one day he opens the door and he finds this little girl standing there. Her name is Lucy. She says that he is her father, and it's basically a setup from how the first season started out, with Emma opening the door and seeing a young Henry there saying, "Hey, you're my mom, you gotta come and help us undo this curse." It's basically that same setup, but doing it a different way, and I like that they did just essentially rinse and repeat the first season, because that would have been kind of boring. While there are kind of the same setups, we have kind of the mayor-esque character, and then we also have everyone who's kind of under the false curse and everything. They do have enough twists in there to make it interesting, to make it stand out as a season on its own. One thing that a lot of fans were really worried about when they announced that they're going to do this soft reboot, and that Hook was going to be coming back to have a part in it, but Jennifer Morrison is going to be leaving the show, is that they're going to wonder, are they going to take away the Emma Hook happy ending type of stuff that they're basically giving them at the end of season 6? There is a good explanation for that. They basically took the drunkard Hook, gave him a youth potion of sorts, I think, used the wand to make him young, and ba-bang, we have a young Hook who is basically a different version of Hook. So Hook that we know and got to know throughout the first 6 seasons, and Emma, they're still in Storybrooke, living happily ever after. And then we have new Hook, essentially, who's doing these new adventures with Henry and Regina and Rumpelstiltskin. Speaking of Rumpelstiltskin, he's a character which I was very, very iffy on for the most part throughout the course of the season, because we get his flashback. We get to see that he did have his happy ending with Belle. We got to see him, well, at least her, grow old with him and eventually pass away, which is very heartfelt and sad and all that. But then you go back to the present day with Hyperion Heights, where he is awoke. He is aware of everything that's happened in the past and whatnot. I'm not really sure exactly when that happened, if it was the teapot or how exactly he woke up, or if he was always awake. I don't really know for sure, because we never got to see like the whole flashback images stuff happen like it did with Regina and with Zelina and other characters. But regardless, I would have thought that Rumpelstiltskin, now being pretty much on the side of good, wouldn't be such a dick anymore. And yet he's still kind of a dick to Hook, who's not aware of anything that's going on. And so I would have liked to see him treat Hook a little bit better, see him treat Regina a little bit better. Just people that he is aware of that are his family, essentially, not be a dick to. I don't know, it just kind of bugged me. I do see that changing a little bit in the second half of the season as more people become aware of what is going on and with the Dark Curse and whatnot. Another thing which did bug me a little bit is the lack of Jennifer Morrison. It's nothing that the show can really help, but she was in the second episode of the season and she did fine in that episode from what I remember. It's just kind of her goodbye, essentially, and basically setting up for why she wasn't going to be around for the majority of the next while. That said, I do hope that we see her at least make guest appearances or something as the show continues for however long it gets to go on past this, because you do kind of feel her missing throughout the show, because she was a star for 6 seasons, and so when she doesn't show up, or she's not like the savior anymore, and she doesn't have her light magic to make everything better, it is kind of felt, and it's like, oh, we had this easy way out for the whole 6 seasons. That's gone now. And then let's talk about Alice, because this is a thing which I am very back and forth with, because Once Upon a Time had a spin-off called Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which I actually enjoyed more in the second half than the first half, but I enjoyed it because it had a very decent story. CGI was crap, but it had a decent story, decent characters, redeemable characters. Red Queen was one of my favorite characters ever as a result, because of how much she changed throughout the show. And then it got canceled, it got wrapped up, and it was done. But it's like they're trying to just kind of shush it out of under the rug and not have it be canon anymore, because it is canon, because we see them go to Storybrooke at some point. And one of the characters from that show is in Once Upon a Time past that season, past the Wonderland season that they did. And so it's like it's still canon. And now they're trying to do another Wonderland with another Alice, and pretend like it just didn't happen. And they've done that before with like season 4 or 5 or something, where they went back to Wonderland, they saw Cora, and they had different Alice and everything. It's just, why are you ignoring it? I don't know. It just kind of bugs me. I wish they would have some sort of explanation for it, personally. That being said, the new actors that they have for Alice and this whole new Wonderland scenario, I actually enjoyed it. I think that the new Alice that they have, she's very, very charming. She's very likable. I wasn't really sure what to think of her right away when we first met her, but yeah, I'm liking her. And the idea that she is this other Hook's daughter, it really makes it more interesting for me, because I really want to see how their relationship was with her growing up, presumably in a tower, because she is the daughter of Grendel and Hook, by some really weird magic, 9 months pregnant logic or something. But I do want to see more flashbacks to that point in time, and I also want to see how their relationship continues to evolve when eventually this curse is broken and they get their memories back. They remember, oh hey, we're father-daughter, that type of stuff. And then last thing I want to touch on really quick before the finale is the idea that we had this whole running inside plotline with Hook for the majority of the season with Eloise Gardner, where it's like this little girl which went missing many, many years ago. It was a case that he couldn't solve, and he's been obsessed with it ever since. And then it ends up being, oh hey, this person that I've been trying to find for however long, it ends up being Grendel. Is it actually Grendel, or is it some other person and she just put a false memory in his mind or something? That whole storyline just kind of bugs me, because it's either she put that whole story in Hook's mind so that he would eventually try to find her and set her free so she could do her evil magic crap, or She's just replacing herself with this young girl who went missing, Eloise Gardner, and she's still out there and being missing and stuff, and so it just kind of bugged me and rushed me the wrong way a little bit. So I really hope that they end up doing something different with that. So that being said, before I touch on the finale, I just want to say I really enjoyed the first half of season 7 of Once Upon a Time. It's a show that I've gone back and forth on over the last 6.5 seasons, because I've fallen off it, and then I've just had a very long binging spree where I've gotten caught back up. That's more or less what happened with this season, to be frankly honest, and it's why I'm doing this review so late. I think I watched like the first 3 episodes when they came out, and then I just didn't watch anything until recently, and I just binged through the rest of the half season. And I liked it enough, so I'm going to talk about it. So, yeah, it's a show that I have ended up really liking, and I want to follow it until it ends up being done or concluding to some degree. And it seems like it's going to get a season 8, so that's why, more on the why that I decided to start watching again. But yeah, if you have not started watching season 7 of Once Upon a Time, definitely check it out. I highly recommend it, especially if you're relatively new to the series. There are callbacks and character development stuff that you're not going to be familiar with, but I think it's new enough that you can be aware of what's going on. So that said, I'm going to touch on the finale really quickly here. So spoilers on that if you have not seen the finale yet for season 7, part 8. So with the mid-season finale of season 7, we basically have a repeat of how the first season finale of Once Upon a Time happened. With that, it was Henry in the hospital because I think he ate some sort of a poisoned apple of some sort that Regina accidentally had him eat, which was meant for Emma. Emma went in there, she gave him a true love's kiss on the forehead. He ended up waking up, curse was broken. So we have kind of a similar situation here. Rapunzel has taken a tear from Lucy, who she has now made a non-believer in magic, which is very, very sad. And implanted it, more or less, in her dying daughter Anastasia's mind, which has woken her up. And apparently she is the guardian, which I think is going to make for a really interesting plotline, because she's apparently the person who Rumpel is going to need to entrust his dagger to in order to basically die and go be with Belle, essentially. It's kind of an interesting situation with Rapunzel in regards to her motivations, because in regards to being a mother, she's terrible in regards to Drusilla, because she treats her like crap, she ignores her. We don't really know more or less why, but it's more because Drusilla started to ignore her and treat her terribly once she returned from her castle and tried to reunite with her family. But then we also have her being a fantastic mother to Anastasia, because she's doing everything that she possibly can to revive her, bring her back. And we see her basically be a decent human being in this finale, because once she has Anastasia back, she has the one thing that she cares for back. She's not really an evil bitch anymore, which is nice to see. So I'm a little bit complicated on where I fall with her character. I think something bad is going to happen with her, but she doesn't strike me as pure evil necessarily. In regards to Regina and Henry, we have them going to track down Zelina to bring her back to Hyperion Heights to help end the curse to some extent. And then in the flashbacks, we get to see basically how the curse ended up happening, which I thought was a very, very interesting thing to see. Because long story short, we have basically all the good guys showing up to try to prevent the curse from happening. We find out Henry has been poisoned, and he's essentially going to die unless he goes to a land without magic. The only reason that Regina has now cast this dark curse is because basically, if it is broken, Henry will die from poison, because presumably that is still in his system. And if it doesn't happen, Lucy is probably going to die because she is now in some sort of comatose state. Another side note that I really want to just mention really quick, with Rumpelstiltskin, we get to see him very briefly during the time right before the curse is going to happen. He has gone back to his scale-like form. It's basically the form that we get to see him in pre-Dark Curse, where he's all scaly and he's basically a monster per se. And it's really interesting because he says that he has put gold in kind of a closet in his mind. So he's put the person, which is Mr. Gold, the person who's fallen in love with Belle, who lived that life, who has 2 kids, he's kind of shut him away. And I don't know if it's just because he is so distraught from Belle being gone, or what happened to make him resort to going back to this form, this creature, which he now is. But it is kind of saddening to see, because you saw him trying to conquer this beast for 6 seasons, and now he's resorted back to being him after Bella has now left.
Is this it?
Take this. I've put Mr. Gold in a room in my mind. This is the key. Get it to me, and it'll open. If it doesn't, you know what you have to do.
Now my predictions for how this whole curse will end up happening, I don't know if this will happen. I haven't seen any sort of confirmation that Jennifer Morrison's returning, but my guess is that Henry will end up kind of believing what's going to happen. He'll somehow wake up, remember everything, as will pretty much every other character, and then he'll decide, I have to sacrifice myself for Lucy. If she's my daughter, she has to live before I do. So while doing that, he breaks the curse. He is now dying from poison. My guess is that somehow we'll get Jennifer Morrison, Emma, to come back from Storybrooke, use her light magic to some degree, get rid of the poison, and then head back to Storybrooke. That's the only real way that I can think that he would not die from the poison, unless Trula's Kiss has some sort of power to do that as well. But I feel like they have to bring back Jennifer Morrison to do her savior act maybe one more time, or maybe transfer the poison to her. I don't know. But I feel like she has to be involved to some degree in order to save Henry and save the day, essentially. But those are just my theories on the finale and what's going to happen in the second half of the season. Again, no knowledge whatsoever about it, really. I'm just kind of curious to see what ends up happening. So guys, those are my thoughts on Once Upon a Time Season 7 Part 1A of the sorts. Let me know your answers in the comments down below. Have you liked the season so far as much as I have? Did you hate it more than I have? Let me know. Like, share, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, Merry people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.